Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, we will start with the session town hall meeting, we called it. This is regarding the executive order that was passed a week ago, exactly today on the Holocaust Remembrance Day, supposedly. So, at any rate, let me begin. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah. And I would like to welcome you and welcome our guests and welcome our viewers also. We have many are viewing the session tonight, the town hall meeting over the internet. And we ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy on us during these trying times. We have attorney Sayyid Mustafa with us. He's not new to our community, neither to IONA. Has been an old associate and friend with Dr. Israr Ahmed, and the organization goes way long back. Alhamdulillah, we're fortunate to have him here in Michigan and with us. So we are grateful for him coming here to share with us the legal aspects of this executive order that was passed last week and how it is impacting us as Muslims, among others, perhaps. Well, I don't know about other Christians are allowed to come, but Muslims are not. So this is definitely a violation against the Constitution, which we will talk about. So without any further ado, I'd like to ask Attorney Sayyid Mustafa to come and address us, please. Jazakallah khair.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد بن عبد الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم أجمعين. اللهم طهر قلوبنا من النفاق وأعمالنا من الرياء وأموالنا من الربا وألسنتنا من الكذب وأعيننا من الخيانة إنك تعلم خائنة الأعين وما تخفي الصدور. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. I would like to thank you all, inshallah, for inviting me, especially Sheikh Mustafa. And inshallah, he mentioned Dr. Asar Ahmed, rahmatullah alayh. I had the honor and the privilege to meet with Dr. Asar Ahmed in New York when I was in law school. And I listened to several speeches of his, and one of the things that he said that I will never forget, an ayah that he said will apply to each human being, especially Muslims, as individuals, as a community, as an ummah in general. This ayah, if you take this ayah from Surah Al-Anfal and apply it to yourself at a given situation, you will believe that this ayah is true, and you will go through that experience. The ayah in Surah Al-Anfal, and I'm not a scholar or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَاذْكُرُوا إِذْ أَنْتُمْ قَلِيلٌ مُسْتَضْعَفُونَ فِي الْأَرْضِ تَخَافُونَ أَنْ يَتَخَطَّفَكُمُ النَّاسُ فَآوَاكُمْ وَأَيَّدَكُمْ بِنَصْرِهِ وَرَزَقَكُمْ مِنَ الطَّيِّبَاتِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ صدق الله العظيم. This ayah in Surah Al-Anfal, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and remember, each and every one of you, when you were weak, oppressed in the land, and you're afraid that people will kidnap or snatch you, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you shelter and support or victory. And not only that, but He gave you of all good things. And when we say, some people, oh, it's money, it's risk, money is risk. There's a lot of things that we get, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed us with, and we take it for granted, and we say it's not risk, it's like because Allah created us, so we take it for granted. And it's not. It should not be taken for granted, because one day we will know the value of losing it, like what's happening now. We took a lot of things for granted, now no more. So that's a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the Islamic way of looking at what's going on is, number one, it's a test, it's a ibtila min Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we have to go through, because in Surah Al-Ankabut, the beginning of the surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that those who say we are believers, did they think that they will say we are believers and they will not be tested? Surely they will be tested. So that's a test from Allah. That's the Islamic concept of what's going on now. I'm not a sheikh in the presence of Sheikh Mustafa. I'm not going to talk about this, but I am here today with Wasaya al-Ashr before I get started on the practical aspect why I'm here today. I don't like to give lectures and stuff, but I just have to, these are ground or rules that I'm going to share with you, or 10 commandments, if you will, that each and every one of us, including myself, before you, must apply in his or her life. Number one, if you are a U.S. citizen, that's the first commandment, if you will. Brother Kamal, are you keeping track? I'm just kidding. Number one, please, if you are a U.S. citizen, do the passport card. If you have a passport, you can't carry your passport everywhere you go. And especially if you were born and raised in Egypt like myself, the Egyptian passport was like this. So you put it in your pocket, it's like, up to your shoulder, if not your ears. So you can do it from the post office. It doesn't cost more than $25 unless they raise the fees for immigration petitions, as most of you know, on December 23rd. I'm not aware that it has increased, but talking about the passport card. So the first thing that U.S. citizens must do is a card that it's like the driver license. I have it in my pocket myself, right here. It doesn't cost you more than $25. So if you are, as a U.S. citizen, pulled over by the police or by immigration, ICE or whatever, you have something, because what if you don't have the driver license is not enough, unless you have an enhanced driver license. That passport card, you can go to Canada, you can go to Mexico by land or by sea, not by air, with this card. Okay? So that's my advice, number one. Number two, if you are a permanent resident, or LPR, they call it, lawful permanent resident or legal permanent resident, green card holder, like the Sheikh Mustafa said, please carry your permanent resident card on you all the time. Don't make a copy. Copy would not be sufficient for an ICE officer not to report you, or a police officer, and we will come to that later on. So this is number two. Number one, passport card. Number two, green card. Number three, or including, I should say this is in part, number two, if you have an H-1B visa holder, a student visa holder, F-1 visa, make sure you have a copy of the approval notes from USCIS all the time on you. If you're driving, you get pulled over by a police, this is when things happen. This is how serious it is. And I'm not trying to scare you or anything. Sayyidina al-Hudhayfa ibn al-Yaman, and I always say this in the beginning of every speech or town hall meeting or anything that I'm get involved in, I always say this. And Hudhayfa ibn al-Yaman radiallahu anhu said, كان الناس يسألون, in another nation, الصحابة, كان الناس يسألون النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عن الخير فيأتونه وكنت أسأله عن الشر مخافة أن يدركني. That's a beautiful statement. He said, most of the people at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the Sahaba, used to ask him about good deeds, how can we get closer to Allah, how we can go to Jannah. For me, I used to ask him more about bad things, what we call in fiqh al-mahdhurat, things that are prohibited or banned to do. So I do not do them. So That's our situation now. So that's number two. So whatever status you have, non-immigrant visa, green card holder, you're not a U.S. citizen, make sure you have any documentation that if you are pulled over by a police officer and you're asked about your legal status or immigration status, you have something on you to show it to the officer. Number three, if you take one thing from me tonight, take number three. Don't ever lie. Always tell the truth. If you're asked a question, never ever lie to anybody. And this is our religion. I mean, in the first place, we fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more than anybody else. And if we fear Allah, we don't have to worry about number three. I don't even, or I shouldn't even say it. But never ever tell a lie or not tell the truth to a police officer or an immigration officer. Number four, if someone comes to your house door, never, ever open the door for them unless they have a, what's the magic word? What kind of warrant? What kind of warrant? Search. Arrest on the person, search on the house. And there is a crime, a murder or something, and he's in hot pursuit of the crime, do not let him or her in. You're giving them consent to come, and everything in plain view is subject to seizure. You know seizure? Take, forfeit, take everything. And this is the worst situation I always get with my clients. Muslim, Arabs, whatever, it doesn't matter. They're all the same. I had a client 2 weeks ago, and he had an immigration situation even before January 27th. And that was the day that the executive order was issued. And I'm sure that day will be a memorable day. Okay. So I said, why did you let them in? Oh, I offered them food and coffee and this. I want to show them how hospitable I am. And I said, you know what they were there for? He said, no. I said, never, ever give consent to anybody unless they have a search warrant. You can, even with the search warrant, ask before you let them in. Place it under the door. You read it, make sure it is signed by a judge, and then you can let them in. Otherwise, don't show them any hospitality. Be nice, but firm. Don't be rude, and don't tell a lie. Always tell the truth or don't say anything. Do not volunteer information, we always say. Number 5 or 6, I lost track. Never, ever sign any documents. U.S. citizen, permanent resident, H-1B visa holder, student visa holder, undocumented alien. Never, ever sign any documents without consulting with an immigration lawyer. Not every lawyer does immigration. And not every immigration who fills out immigration forms knows immigration laws. Immigration law is very complicated and a complex area of law because it changes a lot all the time. We have modifications, changes, and even lawyers cannot even keep up with the new day, changes and everything. So do not sign anything without the presence of an immigration lawyer. And I might, inshallah, in the future, I may email Sheikh Mustafa a list of attorneys who do immigration. They don't fill out N400 in these forms. Even in Dearborn, there are like 500 offices. They do immigration forms better than attorneys, but they didn't know the law. So that's the most important thing. So do not sign any documents unless an immigration lawyer looks at them. And I'm talking mainly permanent residents and other, non-immigrant visa holders, not U.S. citizens, of course. But it applies, legally speaking, if you have a document, even if you are a U.S. citizen, it doesn't mean that you just sign it. Make sure someone who knows, not necessarily a lawyer, take a look at it. 7, I said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I'm going to repeat myself a lot tonight. Never, ever volunteer information. Only answer the questions that you are asked. If it's an interrogation, if it's a simple questions, and we'll come to the details later on, inshallah. But never, ever volunteer information. Number 8. If you do not understand English, ask for an interpreter. If you speak Bangla, ask for a Bangla interpreter. Urdu interpreter. Yeah, Arabic interpreter. French interpreter. Whatever language that's your mother tongue, or you feel more comfortable than English, make sure you ask for an interpreter. I would even go a step further and ask for a court-certified interpreter. Because there was a Sixth Circuit Court decision saying that if the interpreter is not certified, then his translation or interpretation becomes hearsay, and it's not admissible in court. But if he or she is a court-certified interpreter, it's not hearsay. So I would even go further and ask, is he certified or not? 9. I found this to be kind of common among some people. They have false documents on them. They carry it, and they drive with it, they, fly with it. That's not the time to do that. Do not, at all, period. You should not have it in the first place. If it's false, get rid of it. It doesn't matter where it's coming from. I don't care. International student, driving school, driving license, all this, it doesn't work here. So do not take a chance now. Number 10 is those who are not U.S. citizens or permanent resident who have criminal convictions included in Trump's executive order. They're subject to deportation as well, or removal now. They use the term removal. They should not, they should have a power of attorney if they have minor children. If something happens to them or they are in removal proceeding, they should have someone whom they trust to be the guardian over their minor children. They can also do a will, in fact, to make sure, or a trust, to make sure that their kids will not be taken care of by non-Muslims or people who do not know our religion and, our traditions, customs and traditions. So a power of attorney is okay, a will is okay, a trust is better, but, it depends how urgent the situation is. So these are my, if you will, my 10 commandments that I share with you and I apply to myself before I apply to anybody else. And I got some notes that I'll go over. Unless I have a question, I will, inshallah, move forward. If you have a question, or please feel free to interrupt me. I said I hate lecturing. But if you guys want, inshallah, to ask any questions before I move on, or if you want me to go over, please. Sheikh. That's a good question. False mean that, for example, we have clients who come and say, we have Social Security card. Okay. And what's your legal status? None. So how did you get the Social? It's Social Security. The number was a number of a person who passed away. And someone did it to me in Chicago or whatever they say for $1,500. And I'm like, why do you do that? So I can get the driver license. So you get the driver license. What name is it on? My name. But you're not authorized even to drive in the United States. You don't have even, So they buy those Social Security cards, or numbers, I should say, for people who passed away for $1,500 or $2,000 from some other states like Chicago, Illinois, and New Jersey. I think that's what I heard like a few years ago. That's what I meant by that. There are also some other documents like this is funny. I don't want to get into details because there's a lot of information I can't even share with you. Like people who have different names and they came from a different country with a different name. And so it's a lot of, but stay away from any false documents that are not yours and you did not obtain them through the legal proper channels in the United States. Okay? I believe that everybody understands what I meant. Any other comments or questions before we move on? Yes, ma'am. This I'll get to that in a minute, inshallah. I put it in an order, my notes, so I don't miss anything, and I will answer your question. Yes. If you open the door, you don't say, please come in. You can open the door still, they can't come unless you say, you can come and show them the hospitality, I guess. Yes.
And then they said to the front door, police officer, go open the door. They have to get inside. Police officer coming from center line, police station to my house.
And they said, open the door?
Who calling me up?
Mm-hmm.
Officer said, open the door.
Okay.
I opened the door. 6 foot to police officer. They walk inside. They look here there. They check up this that. They said, how come you're gonna make suicide? I said, who told you that? He said, we received a call. I said, you go ask that person who called you. I said, see, I just get my car license plate. If I want to make suicide, I will get the car license plate. I said, I don't intention to suicide. I said, that is first thing forbidden that. And then he talked, did you okay? He said, I said, sure, I am okay. They said, they walk away.
Okay. The reason they opened the door, and if you didn't open the door, you could have opened it by force, even though the Fourth Amendment would prohibit any unreasonable, like opening the door, but if there are abnormal, what we call exigent circumstances, that's an exception to the Fourth Amendment for search and seizure. They are allowed, authorized by law, if they think, even if they don't have any paper. That's an exception to the rule. They thought that you are committing suicide. So they had reasonable suspicion, or what we call probable cause, to open the door. And if had you not opened the door for them, they would have opened it and got inside the house. Because they received the phone call, they had probable cause or reasonable suspicion that you might have killed yourself. So that's why they opened the door. They didn't need a search warrant to come to your house or enter your house. Yes? I guess so.
I came here with a B1, B2 visa.
Okay.
A regular visa, which expires in March, this March.
Okay.
It was 1 year visa. And
It can be 1 year from outside the United States, right?
yeah,
But 6 months inside the United States.
yeah,
They give you 6 months.
yeah.
Right, okay.
And I have applied for asylum.
Mm-hmm.
I received papers in November.
Very good.
Now, these papers, I received papers twice. These papers, I kept them home. And I still have, but
Now, you should have a copy that they received your I-589 application for asylum. Make sure you carry it all the time. And you have, you said you applied in November? So in May, you can apply for employment authorization, okay? 180 days. Once you get the employment authorization, please make sure you carry it all the time. And it's valid for 1 year. Please, yes. That's the only legal basis on which you are staying in America, beyond the 6 months that they gave you at the airport. When you came in, they gave you 6 months. But you applied for asylum within 1 year from your arrival. When that letter is the only legal document you have, that if you, God forbid, pulled over by a police officer, you show it to them, they can never do anything to you. Yes, copy is enough, yes. Any other, sisters, do you have any questions? I don't want to feel like I'm discriminating against you. Yes, brother, come on.
Comment on recording your encounters, authorities?
Can you? Yes, you can. But it depends. Give me an example.
Well, if I'm pulled over, one, two, if there's an encounter at my home,
Okay.
can I record them? And can that be used? Can my recording be used in court of law?
Of course, it can be used. But the problem, how will you record them? And if you record them, you are taking a risk. But there's nothing which would prevent or prohibit you from recording them. And you know all these, African Americans who got killed by the police or shot by the police, and they recorded them. It is admitted in court. It's not hearsay. It's not a statement. So I would not, I don't think, I can't think or fathom of a reason why it should not be admissible in court. But this is, if I am wrong, I'll let you know. But no, it is not legal. No, it's not illegal. Generally speaking, I'm not saying this, you go and record your wife or your friend, or it happens in family court, and some judges, they yell at, the parties, and why did you record your wife? Why did you record your husband? It's socially, and it's not acceptable, but some judges, they admit it in court. Yes.
My passport expired.
Okay.
I have to do a new one.
Okay.
Can I still use the expired passport?
Which passport? U.S. passport? You cannot use it, of course. What are you going to use it for? You mean for traveling or just identification?
You talk about you have to have the passport card.
Card, yes, yes.
But what if I don't have the passport card?
Card, you can do it without doing even the passport book. You call it the big one, passport book. The passport that we travel with. The card, you don't have to have a passport book for you to get a passport card. You can get only the passport card as long as you are a U.S. citizen.
Driver license some kind, right? Driver license, passport.
You mean the enhanced driver license that you, yes, that proves. Yes, same thing, but not by air. Land and sea. Yeah. Yes, sister. What are our legal rights? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. If they ask you to remove the hijab, we are not in Europe, we're not in France, we're not in Germany, we are not, what's the other country? Can someone help me with? They banned some, yeah. It's a religious requirement, and never ever even, if they say remove your hijab, no, I'm not going to remove my hijab. And stand your ground. They cannot discriminate against you for wearing the hijab. There is nothing legally, that it would ban or prohibit us means our Muslim women from wearing that. There's no law or regulation. So I wouldn't even worry about that. inshallah.
I can travel outside the America with the passport card.
No, you can travel to Canada and Mexico by land or by sea, not by air. You cannot fly with this passport card. You can travel to Canada and Mexico, like I said before. Okay, let's move on, inshallah. Before an immigration raid, let's say you are, and I'm not talking about U.S. citizens. I'm sorry. I'm sorry? I have. No, I have.
Order.
We will talk about the executive order. Yes. What's an executive? Yes.
Regarding the hijab, if at the airport for security, a lady asks
A female. Yes.
female,
Yes.
then you have to comply.
Right.
And they will do it in a room.
In a room. Yes.
So they do respect. really
Sure.
the
Sure.
ladies.
Right. She was asking about place of work, so that's why I answered the question to the. What's an executive order? I was going before.
One week or 2 weeks ago, it was about the immigration of the banning the 7 countries.
Right. Right.
Have you got the order? To you? Copy.
I have read it. Yes.
Yes, yes. Copy?
I have a copy now.
No?
I can email it to everybody if you want me to. No, I don't have a copy of it. It's the brother is asking about the executive order, whether I have a copy or not. I don't have a copy of it, but I can email it to you. That's fine. What's an executive order, since you mentioned it? It's an official document by the president to regulate an agency or federal, of course, not state, because of federalism, you know. And the funny thing is, a lot of people don't know that the executive order cannot be reversed or overturned by anybody except 2. A new president, successor. So Trump can reverse Obama's executive orders. Obama issued 277 executive orders, if I remember correctly. Bush, 289. Bush, like 389. Clinton, 381, roughly. I'm not giving exact numbers, but just to give you an idea. So Trump's executive orders cannot be overturned or reversed except by his successor, new president, or the federal courts, mainly the Supreme Court. And this is what happened. The first court to stay the executive order was Judge Donnelly from Brooklyn, New York. She's a U of M grad. She was born and raised in Royal Oak. I called, in fact, I called her courtroom and left a message to thank her very much for her decision. You can do the same, because a lot of people, they put on Facebook that this is her number, call and yell at her for, that order of stay of the executive order of President Trump. So other judges follow suit. We have a judge from Virginia, judge from Washington State, a judge from Washington State. Again, Brother Kamal told me right before our session tonight. So, and more judges to follow suit. That's what I heard. Yes. 6 at least now. No, it's same executive order, different individuals.
But the stay, judges stay the actions of the executive order.
Okay.
Stay order, the order is the same.
Stay, what does it stay mean?
Stay means the action is stay.
Stay does not mean to reverse. There is a difference. Stay means that because the plaintiffs, the individuals in the case of the New York's case, there are 2 Iraqis. They asked the judge to stay the executive order because they will suffer, and that's the language, legal language, irreparable harm if that executive order lasts or is applied to them or enforced against them. They're going to lose a lot of things, a lot of benefits, a lot of privileges. So the judge looked at whether they have what we call standing or not. Can they bring the lawsuit in the first place? She said yes. Will they suffer irreparable harm? Yes. Is there any way the government can do something else, less restrictive, to have the same effect of the executive order? And the judge said yes. So these are the three tests to stay an executive order by a federal court judge. Staying it does not mean, like I said before, reversing it. On February this month, 21st, they will have what we call a merits hearing. A merits means that the government now, they are responding to the decision of the judge, filing a brief to say we disagree with this judge and we want on the 21st of February that the judge does not stay or delete or remove this executive order. So we still have to wait until the 21st of February to see what Judge Donnelly will rule on the executive order of President Trump. State does not mean it's null and void, no. What I said is the judge will, on the 21st, decide, rule, whether the government was justified or the president was justified in issuing an executive order to ban people from 7 Muslim majority countries to travel to the United States. Okay, let me, more questions, or you want to go over the, follow my, so we move forward a little bit. Number one, remember that 10 Commandments. Always keep your documents in a safe place and an easy, accessible place. Make copies. I'm talking about passports, green card, visas, notes of action on an asylum case or an application or anything. Make sure you have copies accessible. So if you need them right away, you have them. That's number one. Marriage license, if you're married to a U.S. citizen, she filed, and then you're waiting for, or it's still pending, make sure you have a copy of all this. And then, like I said before, have a plan to protect your family. If you have especially minor children, make sure you do a power of attorney to someone whom you trust to be the guardian over your minor children. And in Michigan, as we all know, minor children means those who are below the age of 18. So make sure you have their birth certificates. If they don't have passports, please make sure they have passports. If they are dual citizens, please make sure they have both passports valid. In case you have to leave, then it's not an issue. Yes, sir.
If someone has dual citizenship, and what that means is you have not given up the right to your original country where you came from.
Right.
Legal passport or whatever from that country, wherever you came from, and a citizen of the United States. But let's say I have dual citizenship.
Right.
Is it sufficient for me to carry the American here? I'm an American.
Yes.
I need to carry both.
Right. What I meant was if someone is not a U.S. citizen or not a green card holder, and his kids are U.S. citizens and or they have dual citizenship, if the father or the parents will have to be removed from the United States, so they have their children's passports ready, so if the judge ordered them to be removed, they have the passports, they don't have to renew them or issue them or get, that takes some time. So that's what I meant. I didn't mean, and also, just to follow up with your question, Brother Mustafa, if you are a dual citizen, but you are from those 7 countries, so don't travel. You know what I'm trying to say? Don't even travel, because that applies to you as well. And the immigration officers and the customs and border protection officers, they are so confused now because they have 2 laws to apply or enforce. President Trump's executive order and the federal judges, the 6 that you mentioned before. So they said they are torn. They are not sure. They're so confused. They don't know which law they should apply. And by the way, executive orders are not laws. They are, as the name indicates, they are executive orders, and this is pursuant to the Second Amendment of the executive branch or executive power of the president. He has the right to issue, to bypass Congress. He doesn't need any consent from the Congress. To bypass the Congress, he can issue executive orders. And there is nothing illegal about it, unconstitutional about his authority. I'm not talking about, because of course all legal scholars agree, or most of them, that these executive orders banning Muslim or 7 countries' citizens, mainly Muslims, from coming to the United States, they violate the 5th Amendment of the Constitution in terms of due process and equal protection of the law. And there's a couple of cases on that as well. But this is 90 days, and for refugees, it's 120 days. What do you do if the police or an immigration agent interrogates you or wants to interrogate you? Of course, you have the right, if you are being detained or arrested, to ask for a lawyer. Okay. Ask, and of course some officers may not even answer this question, but you have the right to ask, am I detained or arrested, or am I free to leave? That will make a huge difference. Most of us who are born and raised outside the United States, they will find this is very troubling. Can I still, ask them about that? Yes, you can. Am I under arrest? Am I detained? Or am I free to leave? If he said you're free to leave, walk away. Quietly. Don't say anything. Walk away. If you say you're under arrest or you're detained, then don't say a word. If you're asked about anything, even your illegal immigration status, I need to talk to my lawyer. Did you commit a crime? I need to talk to my lawyer. Did you? Just say, keep saying the word. Those who have kids have watched Nemo, the movie Finding Nemo. Just keep swimming. Same thing. Just keep saying the same thing. I need a lawyer. And they try to, you want coffee, you want tea, you want this, water. So try to break ice with you and say, yeah, you seem a nice guy. We need to talk. We're going to ask you about your name, about your immigration status. I need a lawyer. And always have a lawyer's card or care or whatever, that you have the right to make a phone call if you are detained or arrested. And preferably, you will call a lawyer who knows immigration law and criminal law. So remain silent if you are, or the police officer or ICE officer say you're detained or under arrest. Remain silent. Don't say anything. I just need a lawyer. Especially if you don't have any legal documentation. If you have legal documentation, then show it to them right away. Yes?
On that point,
Yes.
if they say, no, you're not under arrest, but we want to ask you
You don't answer.
a question.
Don't answer. Am I under arrest? No. Assalamu alaikum. Yes. Walk away.
What if we don't have a lawyer card or access to lawyer? Are we entitled to get a lawyer from them?
No, they will never give you a lawyer. Come on. Like I said, you have to have a list or CARE or ADC or a lawyer that you know and trust. You have to have a number in case of an emergency. You call. Yes, I will give you my card, but I'm not soliciting business here. I'm saying it because, I just want you to know. And I will get rewarded from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more than I hope, I'm saying. So like I said before, don't answer. If you don't have any legal documentation, do not answer any question. Call a lawyer or call CARE or ADC, whatever organization you feel comfortable with. Call them and make sure you do not speak unless you have a lawyer present. And there is a couple of organizations, they have that Know Your Rights kit that you can, I think CARE has it. It's like, you can put it in your pocket even. Oh, you have them? Okay. Now, this is the time for them. They're needed now. And again, I can't emphasize more the fact that if you have any false documentation or documents, please do not show them. You should not have them in the first place. And again, don't lie. Just tell the truth. If you're asked about like something and you have a lawyer, never ever tell a lie. Or say something because it would come and bite you. What if they come to your house? That's what we said before. If the police, immigration agent, or other government agent tries to enter your house, don't open the door. Again, don't show them how hospital. I'm coming to that. I said this before. Yes, and you have to look at it carefully. Signed by a judge. Look at the date. Look at the house. Is it your name? Or is it the house? The address? Is it correct? Look at everything before you let them in with the search warrant I'm talking about. No, I'm saying, look at it. Is it your house address? Is it your name? If it's an arrest warrant, make sure it is correct information about you. They're coming to you, so they better know whom they're going to arrest or search his house. So make sure it's your name if it's an arrest warrant, or it's your house, exact address, the description of the house, why they are coming after you. That should be laid out in the warrant itself. If they are police, of course, sometimes you cannot, like I was talking about, if there's a crime in your house, the police doesn't need a court search warrant. They can come, they can break the house. Immigration, on the other hand, they cannot enter your house unless they have. Yes, exactly. Okay? They are not allowed to enter for any reason unless you open the door for them or give them permission, like I said before, that guy. So do not open the door to anybody. That's what I'm saying. What if immigration comes to your work? Like you're working, you're not documented. If you are documented, of course, whatever. I'm a U.S. citizen, and I'm a permanent resident, and this is my card, then you're done. But the problem is when you are not documented. That's the problem. If they come to your place of work, you cannot run away from them. They will suspect you have done something wrong. So stay calm. And again, do not make any statements. I need my lawyer, and I need my lawyer now. I can't speak without my lawyer. And that's the sentence that I checked a lot of books, and most legal scholars said this is the only way you can do. Don't say anything, because anything that you will say will be used against you in court of law. Same, and you must have watched it many times on movies and stuff like that. What if immigration stops you in public, like on the street, like we were talking about before? Not your house, not your place of work, but in public. If they stop you in public, they have to have proper order or warrant from the court to do so. So they can just say, what's your name? Excuse me, what do you need my name for? Okay? Just tell me why. And they have to identify who they are, and they have to show you the badge. And you can take the badge number, you can take his name, his business card, and don't say a word to him about you or to her about you. To make sure that you do not give any information that they will use against you. And the other exception is if you have, like I said before, reasonable suspicion that you are not in this country legally. Like, I'll give you an example. You're driving your car, you're undocumented, don't have any proper legal documentation here or documents, and they pull you over because you were speeding. Or you have whatever, defective equipment, something wrong in the car, you're like swerving, you're like crossing lanes for some traffic violation, merely traffic violation, nothing to do with immigration, nothing to do with anything else. And they pull you over. Because of that, they had reasonable suspicion. They can ask you about your immigration status because they stopped you legally. And if you say no, if you say, I don't know, I need a lawyer, okay, we'll get you a lawyer. But come to the police station first. And you can't stop them from doing that. Of course, if you are arrested, that's a different story. If you are arrested, then you must see a lawyer, and you have the right to a lawyer as per the Sixth Amendment of the Constitution, right to counsel, because you are in proceeding now. So you have the right to have your own attorney. I'll stop here, and then I will take, because I don't want to get into more legal proceedings and stuff. Yes, please. If they ask you, the problem is if they ask you about what's your legal status, because they have the right to pull you over, basically. They were legally authorized. They can ask whether you have any legal documentation or not. At which time you have only two choices. Either to say, I need to talk to my lawyer. He will say, yes, come with us, and then you can talk to your lawyer. You cannot talk to your lawyer in the car. Okay? Or show them what you have. I am talking about if they do not pull you over and they have no reasonable suspicion that you are not legally in this country, then you don't have to show anything. You don't have to talk to them. But if they pull you over for a legal purpose, then they can ask you about your legal status and you have to answer them. Or you have to go to the police station and call your lawyer. Yes? The FBI, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question. But someone. Like I said before, yes, if they have the reason to stop you or pull you over. The police officer will not come to you and say, do you have a green card? Or they can't say that. They don't even know. They don't know. Some of them don't even know what green card is. But they pull you over for traffic violation. Then they can ask you about your legal status. But out of the blue, they cannot say, do you have legal documentation? ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement, they could ask you, are you illegal in this country? Show me that you are a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident of the United States or whatever, or we're going to arrest you. This is when you do not answer any questions. I need to see my lawyer. So it varies when you are talking about police officers versus ICE officers. ICE officers have no authority to ask you whether you're driving the car, with a driver license or not. That's not their jurisdiction. Their jurisdiction is to make sure that you are legally in this country. Police officers, on the other hand, they want to make sure that traffic laws are enforced. They don't care, they don't know whether you are legal in this country or not. So it depends whom you're talking about. I got some questions from the sisters and the brothers. Will an H-1B holder, visa holders carry the original or a copy of approval notes? What document will someone on H-4 visa carry? The H-4 is for the spouse of an H-1B visa. I'd rather have the original nowadays. Don't take a chance. Have the original on you. If you can't have the original for some reason, at least have a copy. But don't just walk or drive without having anything to prove that you're legal in this country. I am currently on H-1B and married to a U.S. citizen. Will I be able to apply for adjustment of status? And where can I find a good attorney to start process? It's very, very straightforward, very simple. If you're, it's a husband, doesn't say it's a husband. If your spouse, I'll say spouse. If your spouse is a U.S. citizen, it's very straightforward. You apply for what we call the adjustment of status I-485. And within 3 months, you will get the employment authorization for 1 year. And within 6 to 9 months from the date that you filed, you get an interview. And if the interview goes well, you get what we call the conditional green card or permanent resident card for 2 years. So it's very, very straightforward. Our office does it. We do hundreds of those. And I'm not soliciting business, but I'm telling you, it's very straightforward process, and it takes 6 to 9 months before you become a permanent or at least conditional green card holder. Note, when questions are asked from audience, repeat the question for, I am sorry if I didn't do that, so I apologize. I don't think we had a lot of questions, so that's why. Any other questions? Yes? Give them my name and number. That's it. Or any lawyer of your choosing. And or if you're choosing or any. No, you're not under any obligation to answer any questions or to meet with anybody without the presence of a lawyer. The brother here raises him. Oh, I'm sorry. The brother is saying if any agency, federal or state, they call him on the phone, we want to meet with you, we want to interview you. Am I bound or obligated to meet with them? No. I said no. You can ask, period, no period. That's number one. If they insist and they keep calling you, then give them a lawyer's number, name and number, say, I want my lawyer to be present. I have clients who got contacted by the FBI, and they were interested in interviewing them. And the minute they knew they had a lawyer, some of them didn't even call them again. This is my lawyer, this is his number, call him and arrange it, and I'll be there. So, some clients didn't ever call them back. But if you are interviewed, you better have a lawyer with you. And you will meet with your lawyer before and after the interview. Yes. Yes, brother.
The 7 countries on the list, I heard that they could be expanded.
Yes.
So, and then right now at the airport, will they give a hard time like to other Muslims?
They will give hard time to everybody, even U.S. citizens. I have friends who were traveling domestically and internationally. They're U.S. citizens. They interrogated them for hours, and you cannot say no. But eventually, they have to let them in.
But they don't have rights to revoke any green cards, right?
No. Okay. Like I said before, we can't tell for sure before February 21st. But as of now, they did not detain a lot of people who are traveling now because of the stay issued by 6 federal judges so far. Yes.
You know, some of my relatives are coming from Bangladesh next week.
Yes.
In the customs or immigration officer, what kinds of question they can ask. Basically, they are the language barriers. So, what should they do?
They should ask for an interpreter. Are they, what kind of, are they visiting? Like,
No, they are coming with immigrant visa.
Hmm?
With immigration.
oh, so they have immigrant visas. Like I said before, if they have a language barrier, they have to ask for an interpreter, Bangla interpreter.
What kinds of question they can ask?
They can ask for anything they can ask. They can ask for anything. They can say, what, who is your friends? What do you do in Bangladesh? What kind of job did you do? Okay? Were you convicted on a crime in Bangladesh? They can ask anything they want.
Even though they can, I heard that they can take the phone and open the.
Now they can. Now they can do what we call media search. And they can ask for your passport. I mean, your password.
I want to give them.
You don't have to, but if they insist, they will get it at the end. For national security reasons.
In case of us, about US citizen or whatever, if they ask any.
They can do the same with you. And then if you say no, then they will say, okay, they can do one of two things. They can, and it happened with some people whom I know personally, they can forfeit the phone from you and take it. And then, they can send you a letter. We seized or forfeited your phone. And in order for you to recover it, you have 3 options. Either to file a petition, or to go to court, or to just forget about it and then it will seize and forfeit it forever. So they can do that. They can take it from you. Okay? Limited options. Yes. Did you, everybody heard the question? I think his voice was, he's saying my relatives were coming from Bangladesh and they're coming on immigrant visas. And now when they come, either immigration officers or CBP will ask them questions. What kind of questions can they ask them? And I said they can ask them everything and anything. Then he said, can they do a media search? Can they take their phones and electronic devices and ask for their password and everything? Yes, they can. But you don't have to give them the password. But if you don't have anything to hide from them, I don't see why you wouldn't let them look at it. But if you insist, then this is a process they have to follow. And your options will be 1 of 3, like I said before. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
I have a nephew, he has a conditional green card for 2 years.
Right.
And that was through spouse. But before the 2 years ended,
Yes.
they divorced.
Oh, okay.
And now he did put up an application to get the permanent visa.
Yeah, the 751.
Yeah.
Yes.
So in this situation, what is
The law did not change. To the best of my knowledge, he has to file. The question was, you want me to, or is it close? He said he has a nephew, and the nephew has the conditional green card, which is valid only for 2 years and through marriage. So he got the green card from his wife. 3 months before, and that's me now, he's asking, is there any change? I said, not that I know of. In a normal situation like this, 3 months before the expiration of the 2nd anniversary for the end of, or expiration of the conditional green card, the spouse, the husband in this, your nephew, the husband has to file unilaterally on his own. But he has to have a good reason why he's filing on his own. There are 6 or 7 reasons or grounds for which he can file under one of them. I don't know the details, the facts of the case. I cannot talk to you about it. If you want to give me more facts, I would be more than happy and willing to answer your question. Like one of the grounds would be, and it applies to both brothers and sisters, what we call a battered spouse. If a spouse is assaulted, domestic violence, I'm talking about by her spouse or his spouse, then that's a ground. If another thing would be, even there's no ground, it says others. Others means that, and this is argument sometimes we make, sometimes it flies, sometimes it doesn't fly with USCIS. Say that when they married, they got married in the beginning, they married in good faith, but they didn't get along after a year and a half. So we go by the date in which they entered into the marriage contract. They were married to live and to start a family, especially if they have kids, they had a house together. And sometimes USCIS, they grant our petition for unilateral I-751, petition to remove conditions from the green card. So it depends. I can't, every case is different. What's your second question? You had a second question.
Some people are saying that it's only for 90 days.
Yes, yes.
After 90 days, things are going to go back to normal.
I don't know. I will be guessing, and I hate to guess. We have to wait and see, because I don't know.
What do you recommend? Not to travel at
Not at all. Even for U.S. citizens, I would highly recommend don't travel. Oh, I am sorry. Exceptions apply. I'm not talking about, if you have a valid purpose or reason, you, as a U.S. citizen, I'm talking about, you should go. If you are a permanent resident, and from those 7 countries, no matter what you tell me, where you're going, don't travel. Do not travel. If you are from Syria, Yemen, Iraq, Iran, Libya, Sudan, who am I missing? Somalia. Please do not travel. I don't care what you are a U.S. citizen. I don't care you're a Canadian citizen. If you have dual Canadian and Somali or Canadian and Syrian, don't travel. I wouldn't. Yes. Sure. I think I answered this question before. The notes of action that they are granted, the question was what an H-4 visa holder can carry as proof of his or her legal status in the United States, a copy of the notes of action that was sent either to the H4 or H1 as derivative from the H1, which is usually a spouse. So they must have a copy of either the H1B notes of action or the H4 if available. Yes. Any other questions? Yes, brother.
They can force to sign I-407.
Yes. Very good question. Excellent question. In fact, I said it in my notes and I forgot to cover it. But I said it in general. I-407. A lot of people, when they come to the airport, they come, permanent residents I'm talking, this is before the executive order. And if they stayed longer than 1 year outside the United States and they are permanent resident, the immigration officer or the CBP, which is Customs Border Protection officers, might ask you, you want to come to America, you want to visit, that's fine with me. I have no problem with that, as long as you sign this form. What you don't know, and remember what I said before, do not sign any documents unless you understand fully and thoroughly what it is about, or you consult with a lawyer. And it happened with some of my clients, and I went to the airport, and I said, they're going to say, what they said, we're going to take you to court. Pay the fine. The fine is $595. It was before December 23rd. I don't know whether it changed or not. Pay the fine, and that's it. Do not sign any form, especially I-407, because you are abandoning your green card. Yes. Because if you stay, you are a permanent resident. You're supposed to live in America and not leave America more than 179 days at one time. If you do, let's say you are away for a year and a half, for them, you're no longer a permanent resident of the United States. So if you come back, they will ask you and never ever lie. A lot of people when they come, oh, I was a month or a few months, and they have been like for a year or two. Never lie, please. It will come and bite you. So make sure you tell the truth and do not volunteer information. So if they ask you, how long have you been outside the United States? You will say, this time or last time? He's asking about this time. What's your wife's name? The one here or back home? I get those and I go crazy. I mean, he's asking a question. Who's your legal wife? You have only one legal wife. Oh, the one here or the, no. That's not, that doesn't work. Doesn't fly. He's not asking you how many wives you have. He's asking who's your wife. Very straightforward, very simple. Yes.
Were there any cases of people from Bosnia with green cards?
No, not that I know of. Bosnia is not on the list. So you're from Bosnia, right? Not much I know now. Okay, Brother Kamal, are you ready to go? We're going to get a beating today. Oh, yeah. I got a text message. We're on our way home now, inshallah. Yeah, we're not married to the same person. Yes. Yes, brother.
My brother is in Egypt now. He's green card holder.
Okay.
Just for visit for he left before the
Executive order.
yeah,
Okay.
and he's coming back like after 3 weeks.
The good news is he's not in Paris. You know, alhamdulillah, Egyptian in Paris now after what happened today. He's a green card holder from Egypt, and he left before the executive order. Is he planning to come back soon?
Yeah, 3 weeks.
3 weeks from now.
Yeah.
I think that's a good time because we will know on the 21st how the Trump administration would like to proceed with that. Are they going to fight it in the circuit court? Circuit means circuit federal court. Or are they going to issue new executive orders to include countries like Egypt and other countries? So he's coming after the 21st, right? Before? Okay. I'll give you my card. Give me a call. So I need some more facts from you before I can tell you whether he should come back or not. Yes, brother. Hey, did you hear the question? I said, I think I did say the question. Sisters, do you have any questions more than, I think I got 2 or 3 questions from you. Yes, brother. Yes. I wouldn't do that. Are you talking about hypothetically, or you said, did it happen to someone you know? No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't travel, period, unless a umrah or medical reason or a business trip, and I have a letter from my employer. All that, you have to have a very good, valid justification or reason or purpose for which you are traveling. And I'm talking about U.S. citizens now, mainly. Okay? Where are you? I mean, do you have dual citizenship? Only U.S. and Canadian. You should be fine. There's no problem at all. You're not from the 7 countries. You don't have a passport from those 7 countries. You're fine. Unless they add Canada. I can't imagine adding Canada. Yes. Yes.
He's a U.S. citizen and wants to get married in Bosnia and bring his wife here on a fiancé visa. Can I, or is there any special ways that I need to do it?
What's the question again?
Serbia.
Serbia, okay. So he's a U.S. citizen. He wants to bring his fiancée from Serbia. He has to file the K-1 visa petition, but he must see her or had seen her before within the last 2 years, at least one time. And he has to show in his passport that he went to Serbia, has been to Serbia, and he met with her or her family before he can apply the K-1 visa petition for immigration. It used to take 4 to 6 months, but now I have clients over a year and a half now, and we haven't been approved. They are very, very meticulous now. Before that was before the executive order. What's the second question? I'm sorry, Sheikh. I said,
Can I apply for adjustment of visa after 2 years of marriage? And the additional H-1B to married citizen, who should I contact in your office?
these are two questions, right? The first question you said,
Person asked.
because we answered this question before. I think, like I said, I will leave my card if you want to contact my office. If it's okay with everybody, I'm fine with that, inshallah. But the first part of the question, the first question was, can you said 2 years and he can apply for adjustment of status?
Yeah, he asked, can I apply for adjustment of visa after 2 years of marriage?
Yes, you can.
And the second, H-1B to married citizen, he didn't word it right. H-1B to married citizen, who should I contact in your office? I'll just give him a number.
Okay. Jazakallah khair. Yes, Sheikh.
We have many people who are married, let's say, for example, in Yemen.
Yes.
So those who are married in or the wives are in Yemen have been waiting for them to come here, and you know how long the process is. How is that executive order affecting?
Of course, it will affect them, and it did affect them. I had clients who are in Malaysia now, from Yemen originally, and they got approved, but they can't come. And I told them, don't come, unless we hear otherwise on the 21st or thereafter, because they are banned by this executive order to come. That stay, at least Judge Donnelly's decision, applied to people who are physically in the United States, or, connecting flight, things like that. Some other judges, no. They said it applies to everybody. So the government now are filing briefs to 6 district courts challenging the stay of those judges. And we don't know what will happen, so we have to wait. And we don't know after that what will happen, whether they're going to appeal it or not with the circuit courts. So we're talking about years before things are cleared up. And hopefully, they will be allowed, inshallah. Yes. Yes, brother.
I'm US citizen. How long I can stay in my old country and then I can collect my social security over there? 5 years, 10 years? 20
Social
years,
Security,
stay?
you can get, when you are 62, you can get what we call SSI, Social Security Supplemental Income, which is everybody's eligible at 62. That's number one.
Going back to Buddha,
I'm coming back to your question. If you go back to, you said Turkey, Nasıl Seniz efendim? İyiyim. Nasılsınız? Memnun oldum.
ya ben de memnun oldum.
Okay. So if you want, I think Turkey is one of the signatory countries that signed on the Hague Convention. So I think, I have to double check, I don't want to give you, misinform you, that if you go to Turkey and you are on disability, not SSI, SSI you cannot transfer to your country of origin or national origin. Disability, yes. So you get your check in Istanbul or which city you are from. It's okay. So you get only disability, not SSI. And there's a difference. Disability is when you work enough, you did 40 credit hours, which means minimum of 10 years of employment, you are eligible, we could be eligible for disability. And you can transfer it to Turkey. But if SSI, no. So it depends how many years, what you have to do. I do disability cases, but what you have to do, go to the nearest Social Security office and ask them, if I were to retire today or tomorrow, whenever you plan to go back to Turkey, how much will I get And would you be able to transfer my payment for disability to my country of origin, Turkey? They will answer your questions. And then you will know for sure whether, number one, you're eligible for disability or not. You have earned enough credit hours to get paid disability, and whether they will be able to transfer it to Turkey or not. Yes, Sheikh.
Regarding this question,
Yes.
suppose he gets his checks and it goes to his bank here,
Right.
and he's in Turkey,
Mhm.
and the bank in Turkey has whatever, he can,
Yes, they can do that as well. Yes, yes. And in fact, now, they can, if he has a bank account with a bank that has any affiliation or association with a bank in Turkey, he can use his own bank card, even in Turkey. Yes. Yes, brother, I don't know what you. Yes.
my wife has a green card and she needs to apply for the citizenship. How much time is it taking her?
Say it again, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
My wife is a permanent resident here for a couple of years,
Okay,
and she wants to apply for the citizenship.
right.
So does it change anything?
No, no, nothing, nothing. That executive order, it takes now 5 to 6 months before, but she has to be a resident for at least 4 years and 9 months. And she didn't leave the United States at one time more than 179 days. If she left the United States more than 179 days, after she comes back, she has to wait 4 years before she applies for citizenship. Cumulative, yes. No. Or one time, I mean, not cumulative, I'm sorry, I take it back. One time. One time, yes. No, I thought you meant 4 years and 9 months. No, you don't have to be. Any other questions? Otherwise, inshallah, we'll. Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you so much, and I'm sorry if I make any mistakes. Or, Sheikh, are you ready to go? I got like 10, 12 text messages. Barakallah. Not from my wife. So I'm not in trouble.
Yeah, no. Thank you so much, Attorney Sayyid Mustafa, for your kind visit to us. I know he had to cancel an activity with the family. That's why he's probably getting
Pray for me.
yeah, inshallah. But that's the dedication he
Can I
has.
leave my
Yeah,
business card
please,
out
please
for-
leave the visit cards. And I have only 5 from CARE.
Yeah, please make sure. Yeah.
So